everybody, hey guys, who out there today? Welcome back to another episode of Halloween at the Manor. So this is going to be our haunt update video number 6. So I did make another prop that I'll show you guys here in a few seconds, but I'll give you a quick look at some of the things that I've been working on and kind of have finished the last couple of days. This is a facade that I'm going to put over the front door. This is one of those projects that's not really necessary, but I was really bored and just wanted something to do. So what I'll do is I'll kind of show you guys over here on the unfinished side, of the side that I'm not even close to being done yet, kind of what I did over here. I did get some more spray foam to put over here, and then I'm just gonna have to kind of beef up some of these areas. So that's kind of what I'm doing today. And let me show you the prop I made real quick here too. All right, guys, we got another prop here that I ended up coming up with. This mask right here, another one of those $20 masks from Party City. However, if you want this mask, they do have these. I have seen these at Spirit Halloween, so if you wanted to pick the zombie mask up, go ahead. And again, these hands right here are also from Spirit. They're just groundbreaking hands that I used on this guy. And just like the other ones that I showed you, the base is just a wooden base, wooden frame. And I put some of my old clothes on them and tattered them up, and that's it.
Alright guys, so like I mentioned in my intro to this video, what I'm using for my over the front door facade is the Loctite foam that I've used on a lot of my other projects as well. At this point, I'm just kind of filling in the gaps of the areas where I haven't finished yet. And then I did also go over some sections too that had some really deep indentations and things like that, just filling those in with the foam. Now, once the foam gets to a non-sticky consistency, then you can start to kind of play with the foam, kind of push it down, get the air out of it, and basically just like if you were rolling out dough, just trying to flatten it. I would highly recommend wearing gloves though when you're doing this, because if the foam is still sticky, it will attach to your skin and kind of mess up your skin. I've had that happen many times, so definitely wear gloves. What I did too is once the foam dried, using this 1x3 inch piece of wood, I started to lay out my grout lines for the other side of the facade that wasn't finished yet. So I was basically just laying this piece of 1x3 into the one that it already did, so that everything lined up correctly. And then once I indented that piece of wood into the foam, I just used a Sharpie and kind of laid out where I wanted my grout lines to be. To get the grout lines cut out, I did use a Dremel. However, you could probably use anything like a knife or anything sharp basically to cut out those lines. I would highly recommend though, if you do use a Dremel, to get a mask. I didn't use a mask the day before when I did the other side, and I probably should have, because I was definitely feeling that stuff in my lungs that rest of that night, so I would definitely get a mask. But anyway, like I said, I just used a Dremel to drum out the grout lines, and this worked really well, no problem whatsoever. Now, once I finished with the dremeling of the grout lines, I took a black spray paint and went over the entire section that was not finished. I was really focusing on getting that black spray paint into those particular grout lines, because once those grout lines are black, I was going to dry brush on a gray, or my plan was to dry brush on a gray and try to really make those bricks stone pop. So while the black spray paint was drying, I started to paint this section here. Basically just went over all of the 1x3 inch little bricks that I cut out with just a gray paint. I figured that was probably, I wanted to make this section look exactly like the circular pattern in the middle, kind of like that light gray with the white kind of in it. So that's kind of what I did. I just started off painting this whole section with a gray paint. So once I finished painting all the little bricks with a gray paint, then I basically just took some white, and I took a brush and basically just kind of stippled, sponged on that white paint to basically lighten up the gray paint all over the brick. So once the black spray paint dried, I decided to dry brush on a gray paint over those stones, bricks that I dremeled out. This really makes the bricks pop, and it really brings out a lot of the texture too. I was really happy with the way this looked. It did come out exactly as I imagined it would, and like I said, I started off with the gray, and then what I ended up doing is, once I got the gray on there, I just started to, again, sponge, stipple on some of this white paint too, basically just trying to lighten it up a bit.
All right, guys, so the over the front door facade is finished. I probably should have mentioned this from the beginning. This was actually an old Christmas facade that I really didn't like, so I kind of tweaked it to make it this. So what I used is I used the thin plywood that I always used, and basically just used some 1x3 wood to trim, to use as trim for this. And then this is actually just a piece of 3/4 inch plywood that I cut to make this this half circle shape. But overall, I think this thing came out really cool. I ended up deciding to paint the trim around to match what was going on in the center here, so that that lightish grayish white. And then what I ended up doing was I ended up going back over this facade, the stone brick part, and I ended up dry brushing on some more gray to kind of gray it up. I wanted this to look a little bit darker than this section here. For the window here, what I ended up doing was my overall goal was to make this try to look like stained glass. And you guys saw this originally, it was just painted, in the background was just painted red. So what I ended up doing is I ended up mixing some colors together. So I started off with like a reddish purple, and you can kind of see that in here. And then after that, I painted over some reddish orange, which you can see in there as well. And then kind of put in some light black too to kind of darken it up. And I think it came out really cool. I just wanted to have the illusion of stained glass. There were sections where some of the brick here was a little bit thicker than I would like. So what I did was I just took a bread knife from the kitchen and kind of chopped it off to make it look a little not as thick. So like, for instance, those over here, I did that too. I just kind of chop these down a little bit to make them look a little bit better. I'm kind of thinking that I wish I would have used this to put over top of the mausoleum facade, but this is a lot longer than that because this is only 6 feet. But anyway, that's the over the front door facade. Like I said, really happy with the way this came out, and let's get on to the next project.